Welcome to Business in the Black, the podcast where ideas become plans. Plans turn into actionable items, and actionable items become results. I'm your host, Brandon D. Morgan, and this is Season 2. Welcome to another episode of Business in the Black. I am so excited that you have chosen to join us yet again. Today we are in Sandy Springs, Georgia. Sandy Springs, some people say Atlanta, and technically we can say Atlanta, right?
Yes.
Because you are inside the perimeter. So that's Atlanta.
It's 285.
Okay, don't let that girl say that is not Atlanta. It really is. So we're so excited to have Tarico Burks here with us today. He is insurance extraordinaire and CEO of the Burks Agency, a subsidiary of AAA. Welcome, Tarico.
Thank you so much, everybody. It's such a pleasure to sit in front of each and every one of you. My name is Tarico Burks. I'm the CEO of AAA, the Burks Agency, and we specialize in everything insurance, from home, auto, renter's insurance, including life insurance, which you are your greatest asset. On top of commercial insurance, you own a business, you own a commercial trucking company, you name it, we can get all that insured and taken care of. We're just one call away and we get you all squared away.
Awesome. Well, we're excited to learn more about your journey and just, again, what the Burks Agency is and how our audience can benefit from the services that you offer.
Absolutely. I'm very happy to share everything that we do here, and the floor is all yours.
Awesome. Tarico, you haven't always worked for AAA. You started off at State Farm, and back in 2017, the owner of the agency that you worked for gave you a mind-blowing revelation. Talk to us about that scenario and how it just helped you to map out some things.
Oh, absolutely. I would love to dive into that. So I was a performer, if you will, insurance sales agent for this particular State Farm insurance agency. I won't say the name.
Okay.
And literally, I always had goals and aspirations to become an owner. Coming from corporate, where I actually created the lead total loss role for State Farm. It's basically a division in total loss where if your vehicle is totaled and you have an issue with the evaluation report for what we would pay you for your vehicle, you actually speak to a specialist that we, of course, can negotiate that, but it also helped to work with the claim associates that were right beneath the specialist, if you will, because they only had a certain amount of authority. They can only pay up to $10,000 towards a total loss payout. So I created the role where if they needed help, they're not calling the same line that the customer's actually calling, who's trying to, of course, get their vehicle, their valuation disputed, if you will. So I created this role and was a beast in claims. Long story short, I was a beast. I was the best.
It's the modesty. We are first question at the gate. Okay, all right.
I was extraordinary in claims. I ran 14 states, about 200 to 400 people, roughly, if you will, in the window. They didn't report to me, but I basically was in charge of the training. So was amazing with claims. Never thought I would leave the corporation handling claims. Ended up going to an agency. I'm like, okay, the entrepreneur route is more for me because, of course, salary roles, they limit your earnings potential. So I worked for this particular State Farm agent, and she literally was like, out of all the agents that have ever worked for me, I can tell that you are going to open your agency one day. Let me kind of show you what you have to look forward to. So she showed me her earnings from 2017. And mind you, as the owner, she's not in the producer's chair anymore. She pays us agents as producers to quote, write, bind the business. Of course, we get our commission payout. She gets her cut, she gets the renewals. That's how it's the gift that keeps on giving when you're in this type of, honestly, a recession-proof industry. But long story short, that she earned in 2017, $864,000. That was the gross premium, not even the premium, that was what she made off the premium that we wrote in combination of renewals for things that were already in force. She was an 11-year agent at that time, so she had some tenure. It was a well-oiled machine, but that was a light bulb for me that literally showed me the sky is not even the limit.
Yeah.
Like what you sell is what you make, but it's going to compound over the years. It's a long-term game. It is not something you just, hope you get to that over the first year. She was 11 years in, so I'm like, okay, I have to have a long-term goal for this.
Awesome. That's quite a number, even 11 years in, because who after working 11 years is almost making $1 million in just residuals?
Just residuals, yep. And she hasn't, at that time, she literally told me Tarico, I haven't wrote a policy or quoted a policy personally in about 6 years.
Wow.
So she was actually rusty at her craft of being in the producer's chair because she, she sat back, got out of that seat, put on her hat to manage, and that's the whole point of
Wow.
being in leadership.
Wow, that's great.
Yes.
You referenced that you started in claims. And so in claims, most people, when you're selling insurance, that's all you really think about is, oh, that's an insurance salesman. That's the insurance. You hear agent, it's a salesman, and they trying to sell you something and da 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 da. But again, you sell something just in case. It's the insurance in case you actually have a claim. So you started in claims, and when you were starting to move into sales, you really didn't believe that you'd be good at it.
Yes, so this is very, very true. So literally, I'm a creature of habit, right? And so when it comes to that, I like consistency. Paychecks give you consistency. Working in sales, from what I thought, would not give me consistency, right? And so literally working for this particular State Farm agent, coming from claims, I started off as her account manager. So account managers, people calling in, they want to pay a bill, they want to quote an auto, well not quote an auto, but they want to add an auto to their existing policy or things of that nature to kind of get my feet wet on this side of the industry. But she would always tell us in our meetings, Tarico, it's not like we're selling snake oil. And I would just sit with that. She's like, we're selling a promise for one, and we're selling something that people need. Oh yeah, and it's like, and it took me back to my claim handling days, and literally when you have a claim, our job as the carrier is to indemnify the loss. That's to put you in the position 1 second before the claim occurred. So it's not to better you, it's not a payday, if you will, it's literally to indemnify you. And so once she told me that we're selling a promise, and I executed that promise while I was in corporate, it is all kind of clicked. And so I'm like, you know what? Let's just keep that mentality. Like, I'm not selling you something that you need. It's required by law to have insurance. You cannot close on a house without an insurance declarations page enforced. You're not driving off that car lot without an insurance ID card or declarations page. So I'm just like, we're combining a need and a promise. And so it was very easy to transition into account manager from literally being a claim specialist, claim analyst, to going into being a sales agent. My very, very first sale, it was so profound because one, I was already well versed in how the company would perform in the event of a loss. Me looking at the coverages that I'm relaying to you was very important to me because I'm not just throwing out a number, I'm actually explaining to the client what the numbers on the declarations page mean. Your limits of liability, what's a deductible, do you want car rental, do you need car rental, asking them questions. If something were to happen to your vehicle is in the shop, do you have another vehicle to get around with? Like literally assessing the client's needs, because when their vehicles were totaled, it was a need to get them paid out. It was a need to get the power of attorney signed to get it to the lien holder so they can close out that account so they can go get another car. I'm focusing on the need and also the promise. And once I got that first credit card number and submitted it and got my proof of coverage documents, and it was all the same. Like I would look at coverage strips, handling claims, and I'm actually selling it on the front end. It just was a full circle moment for me.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's very enlightening. Now, because I'm not well versed in insurance, I see the way that you were like giving us definitions and stuff.
Yeah.
And I was lost at indemnify. I mean, it was a real nice word. It was a real nice word.
Yeah.
But now, can you explain what that means?
Oh,
what,
yeah.
What is
Yes. So indemnification literally is to make you whole. And so when I say to make you whole and not make you better, say for instance, a homeowner's claim, right?
Okay.
If you have a claim on your house, we're not going to, unless the house was, if it burned down, right? We have to rebuild your house, obviously. But if you have a claim on your house, and let's say the siding is damaged, we're going to match the siding of what's already there. Now, yes, this side of the house is going to be new, but we're not going to re-side the whole house. That will make the house better. That's not indemnification. That's, putting you in a better position, if you will. Now, there are claims where it's just natural that the home is going to be upgraded. Like we have claims where water can leak, from, let's say, the bathtub upstairs and go behind the wall in the kitchen, creating mold, and it gets in the cabinets. We have to now tear that all out, and you you now have a new kitchen. So it's certain things are just inevitable, but that's not how insurance is designed.
Got it. So basically, it's you said it's making you whole.
Yes.
All right. So basically, make sure I'm getting it.
Oh yeah.
All right. So if your patch on your floor is messed up
Mhm.
and you submit a claim for your floor, you're not gonna replace the whole floor if you can replace a tile.
Correct.
Got it.
That is correct.
And the tile is gonna match the floor. It's not gonna
Correct.
have you got a white tile floor and then you're
Correct.
gonna put brown and then you can put a white one in
We
there.
would not do that. And keep in mind, if for some reason, if this was a towel that's discontinued,
Mm-hmm.
if you will, and we can't find it, we're going to get like, kind, and quality, and from that point, we will replace the entire floor.
Okay,
Yes.
that's good to know. So
Yeah.
then you ain't got it. So these people with car insurance, when they be having these different color paints, that ain't got nothing to do with y'all.
Oh no, those are people that literally go to like scrap yards or.
I'm just
No.
trying to make sure we all are the same. Yeah, I'm with you.
Okay,
Okay,
'cause
because you know you think about that and you like, why your car two different colors?
Yeah, these are people that they may have a liability only policy, and with liability only, if you run into someone,
You just
whatever.
paying for their car.
Yes, your liability coverage is paying for their injuries, their damage, up to the dollar amount that you purchased on your policy, which I know we'll get into that. But because your vehicle's liability only and you caused the loss, meaning you're liable for the loss, you're responsible for fixing your own vehicle. So you can get access to parts, Amazon, eBay, etc. So you see like the little plastic bumper and the rest of the car is white. That's more than likely.
Yeah, I'm just trying to make sure we on level playing field with these terms because I'm like, don't lose me at the beginning.
I got you.
All right, cool. The insurance industry is a very conservative industry.
Mhm.
And so you've created, I'd say, somewhat of a niche for yourself being authentically you.
Yes.
And so being authentically you doesn't necessarily blend in. Talk to me about how you've been able to be you and be successful in this industry.
Yeah, so that's a very good question. So one thing about me, it took me many, many years to actually fall in love with me, right? And so once I fell in love with myself, my confidence was just rock solid. And literally working in the pretty much the most conservative industry globally, me being me has never stopped me from promotions. It never stopped me from climbing the corporate ladder at State Farm, and literally the lead total loss role I created for the entire company of State Farm.
Mhm.
State Farm is the largest insurance company in the country, and little old me, yet powerful old me, actually created a role that's still around to this day. So it's never stopped my success. When it came to being an agency owner, being me in this space, the agent that I actually worked for, even though she was a Caucasian lady, she was a lesbian. And even with that, she had strifes or, obstacles to overcome, even when she was in her aspirant program to launch her agency. And the example that I can give you, when she was in training and she went off to lunch, if you will, she came back and there was a very disparaging note that someone in the class put on her desk. And even being a Caucasian female, the fact that she is a part of the LGBTQIA community, she was still discriminated against.
Mhm.
And she embraced me like a mom. She literally told me, like, out of all the agents that have ever worked for me, I know that you're going to be the one that's going to open your own agency. And I just would never forget that. And she literally, out of 19,000 State Farm agents, she was ranked 202 in the country.
Wow.
That she was a powerful agent. She was a well-known agent. She was a well-respected agent. She was very, very tough. She did not take excuses. She had structure. She had word tracks, and as obnoxious as it was sometimes, because it always felt like we were performing robotically, I understood why she had that structure. You have to have something in place for people to follow, or people will just do whatever, sell however. And she had goals.
Mhm.
She had goals, the corporation had goals, and she would benefit immensely compensation-wise off tackling those goals. And I watched it, and she was authentically herself. And again, prior to working in her agency, I was authentically myself in the corporation. And so I felt as though it was very important for my younger self to see someone that looks like me in this CEO seat, in this industry that's actually doing well. And I'm very proud to say that my agent here at AAA, the Burks Agency, we are the second highest grossing, highest producing agency in the state of Georgia.
Okay. All right, little plug. Okay, yes, that's a beautiful story. Because there are so many people who feel like if you're in any type of business, you might be afraid to be black,
Right.
you know, or talk about being black.
Right.
You know, and so to our audience, you know, be you.
Yes.
You know,
You.
you know, people they're gonna like you or they're not.
Right.
And
right.
you know, and if you have your stuff together, you know,
Yes.
they'll like your product if nothing else.
Exactly. That's a very good point too. Like knowing the industry in and out, from the indemnification claim side of things to actually curating a package for you that's going to protect you against the unexpected. I've seen it all. And so I know what I'm talking about. I am state licensed. This is very heavily regulated. We have to do continuing education every 24 months. Like I'm always sharpening my skills, and even being in this entrepreneurial seat, I still sell. I don't sell as much as, of course, my agents, but I still sell because I never want to be in a position where I lose my craft. I would never lose my passion.
Yeah.
Because State Farm actually recruited me right out of college. And so this is my first corporate experience, and it really turned into a passion. So, you know, stick to something that you love, become good at it. There's a lot of people that do what you do, but there's no one that does it like you do it. And that's just one thing I have to stand on that. So it's worked in my favor.
Yeah. We talk about being authentically you. We talk about the successes that you've had or are having. And what do you think contributes to that authenticity and, again, success?
Yes. So what contributes to me being authentically me, again, finding my strength, finding my voice, finding my confidence that who I am is more than enough, right? Also, Atlanta's a very beautiful place. It's a place that's truly for us, by us. It's a city where a lot of the businesses that you frequent are actually owned by people of color. And it's very inspiring to me. I'm very visual, I'm a dreamer. And so actually seeing people in nice vehicles, or seeing, you know, Black entrepreneurs walk around their restaurants or hookah bars or lounges, it just, that identity, it did something to me. And I always tell myself, if they can do it, I can do it too. You know, I've always had the hustle in me, I've always had the grind in me, and I'm passionate about what I do. So what differentiates me from someone who loves to cook and they own a restaurant? I love insurance. Why can't I have my own insurance agency? And being in Atlanta with, you know, a plethora of Black excellence, I've been very, I'm very referred. Like, people in Atlanta like to work with people they identify with. I've never experienced that crab in a barrel mentality, which is very common in other parts of the country, specifically the Midwest where I come from. I actually meet other Black powerful leaders that want to market my business. They want to work with me. They want to send me referrals, realtors, loan officers. Like, they want to work with people that are professional, that are on their stuff, that look like them. It has been monumental, to say the least.
You talked about seeing yourself and other people seeing themselves being entrepreneurs and CEOs and this sort of thing. Well, you grew up with a whole family full of them. I mean, your granddaddy was Hoppo because he owned a juke joint. Your uncle was a mechanic. Your mother is a tax professional. Your brother is in life insurance. You know, with all this entrepreneurial DNA obviously in you, you know, why did you choose insurance? You know, what about that spoke to you to say, I could do all these other things, but I'm gonna do this?
Yes, no, that's an excellent question. So literally, as I was graduating, actually 2 weeks before I graduated from college, I applied to State Farm, and, you know, just to kind of get my feet wet, right? My background, or degree, if you will, is in accounting. So I love number crunching. I was always pretty advanced with numbers, from taking AP courses all throughout high school, AP calculus, you name it. I'm just a numbers guy, right? And a little fun fact about me, I'm also a car fanatic. Like I literally would go to dealerships as a child on my bike, get all the brochures, read them front to back. So I always had a passion for things, vehicles on wheels. And so getting into insurance literally allowed me to crunch. Yeah.
Catch.
Yes.
Oh,
yeah.
it's a little slow there. I got it though. I got it now. Okay.
Yes. The industry allows me to do both. I'm able to crunch numbers, from the claim side, crunching the numbers of what we're going to pay you out for the value of your vehicle. Actually talking to you about your vehicle. Like people love their vehicles. I'm like, oh my God, you have, the SRT, or you have the autobiography. Like I would know so much
The autobiography is the car?
like the trim level, like a Range Rover or something.
Oh,
of
see,
that
I'm talking
nature.
about.
Yeah, something of that nature. Stuff. I deal with all vehicles, all high and low, and it doesn't matter. So it made the conversations fun, right? And it also took the stress of the actual claim off the client, because they're talking to someone that cares about what they're going through, but also can talk about the vehicle, have some knowledge about the subject as a whole. So, and I didn't realize that insurance was my passion of mine. I took the job and started off in initial loss reporting. And I always for my first jobs, worked in customer service roles, fast food, while working with people. I'm a people's person. And so taking the initial role of just taking the claim report through initial loss reporting was fun for me. I mean, I was young, right out of college. I had benefits, I had structure, but again, I kept being promoted. So when I was promoted to actually handle the claims is when I'm like, this is the industry for me. Because now I'm actually still working with the client, but I'm crunching the numbers. And I'm just like, this industry is so vast, from claims to underwriting to actuarial lists. You can just go on and on. It's vast.
Different types of insurance.
Different types, yeah. And so once I found my niche, I thought that I would be in claims forever, until I realized that I'm bigger than this. The role that I created, and I was there for 6 years. I created this role at year 4.5, and that's relatively early to be in my career to make such change. I'm just like, my checks are still the same. I'm making all this change that's benefiting the clients, it's benefiting the company, it's benefiting the total loss department, but my compensation is still the same. And so that's when I'm like, it clicked, like maybe I can go into agency ownership. I knew it would be different. I never sold before. There was that fear, if you will, of what is this going to look like? Am I losing my stability? But I just knew that I would be limited in that space, and I fell in love with the industry as a whole. But I'm just like, I have to keep moving forward. So,
wow, it's quite an inspiring story you got. I mean, I'm kind of, trying to figure out how many people think like this, and again, stay.
Yeah. Yes. No, that's very, very true. And I will consider myself blessed, even lucky as well. It really kind of fell into my lap. I didn't know what I was getting myself into. I just knew I was graduating. I was waiting tables full time at the time throughout college, and I enjoyed it. Again, I'm a people's person. It's not like I'm cooking the food,
Right.
So just that interaction. So I knew I loved working with people, but I didn't know that working with people, I'm not gonna say from a professional standpoint, because being a waiter is professional. It's a job. But being in a call center and being behind the phone and learning to smile through the phone and still engaging with people,
Right.
I didn't know I would enjoy it that much from this perspective. And once I learned how in-depth insurance is, I'm like, how can I go deeper and maximize, compensation for myself? I have dreams. Again, I told you I'm a dreamer. And I just knew that I have to maximize my goals.
Prior to starting, again, your own agency, you were afraid of getting caught up in the top-down approach, corporate ladder, climbing it, yada, 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 yada.
Yes.
So with that, looking at owning your own agency now and trying to steer away from that top-down approach,
Yes.
how is that different? Because again, you're still in a corporation, and there's still an opportunity for you to have the feeling of climbing a corporate ladder because you're in competition with other people under an umbrella. So help us, figure out how you do that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So, of course, in corporations, I experienced this firsthand at State Farm, right? Whenever these major corporations restructure, they cut from the top. down. I literally watched State Farm get rid of 20 and 30-year employees. You're talking section managers, you're talking area managers. Like, it was really daunting, to say the least. I mean, these are people that all they knew was State Farm, and I learned personally that corporations only care about their bottom dollar. And you contribute to that bottom dollar your entire adult professional work life, but if you're no longer a fit to their motto, to their spreadsheet, they're going to cut you. And so I never wanted to be in a position where my livelihood was in someone else's hands. And so having, entrepreneurialism embedded within me, it's innate due to, my family and things of that nature. I knew that I already had the strength and the courage to do it, but I just needed to execute the plan. And once I realized that I can take this experience and go to the agency side of the industry, it was a no-brainer for me. It was a no-brainer for me. And even with this, it's kind of like a franchisee, if you will, where there's a contractual relationship between me and AAA, the corporation, but I don't work for AAA. My agents that are here, they work for me, the Burks Agency. They don't work for AAA. So I have all the autonomy, all the freedom, but with anything that you do, it's regulated. You have to have rules. Like, I have to write, products through AAA and our partnerships. And it just is what it is, but that's just standard. I expect having rules to follow, but this is my ship, this is, my thing, and it's a partnership between me and my agents. Like, I never say my, nothing like that. Even the clients that they write always say, hey, how's our client doing, or things of that nature. It's a partnership, and that's one thing that I felt and saw and witnessed that AAA, that State Farm actually lost when they let go of those section managers and those people that devoted their life to the company. It was no longer a partnership. It became very one-sided, and I didn't want to see myself on the other side of that coin.
Wow. Let's talk about money. So, we love to talk about money, okay? All right, now AAA requires you to have in liquid assets. That means cash money. I mean, you got to have $75,000 to $100,000 to even get in their door, to even get a meeting at their table. Talk to me about that type of requirement, and where you get the money from?
Okay, no, great question, and let's be very transparent. I was not sitting on $7,500.
I know.
Not sitting on. So, as an FSA, a field service agent at AAA, because this is before I actually came into the entrepreneurial side, being an EA, which is an entrepreneurial agent. With that program, every policy that I wrote, right, that renew, autos renew every 6 months, homeowners and renters insurance, they renew annually, right? So every policy that I wrote that renewed built upon what's called a book of business. Your book of business is basically policies you have enforced at the time of inquiry. And so with that program, because a lot of people are just sitting on money like that, with that program, they'll take a percentage of your book of business from all products. So we also write for other companies outside AAA, and we will get into that because AAA doesn't have an appetite for every single facet of insurance. So we partner with companies that pick up what we leave off. They'll take a percentage of each segment and add it towards your $75,000 of liquidity. By year 3, I had met all the requirements, had excellent metrics. You have to have great top-tier medallion scores, meaning customer service, customer evaluation or reviews of you. You also have to be what's called President's Elite, which is basically a top-performing agent in the entire company. So I'm competing against hundreds, if not thousands, of other agents in different territories, though. We're different conglomerates across the country. But either way, you have to prove yourself to the company that you are excellent, that you are the best with this particular program. So once I hit President's Elite, they, of course, assessed my book of business, and they would take a percentage and apply towards, again, the $75,000. And at that time, my percentages allowed me to basically my book of business allowed me to have 64,000 towards the 75,000. Because at the time my book of business in force was a little over $1 million. It was like $1,003,000 something. And so once they made the calculation, it came like 64,000 something of that nature. And I already had the additional money in my account. So that's what enabled me to be financially ready.
Wow. So, they helped you.
Yes.
And then you were able to have a less financial burden.
Yes, because the book came with me. So once I launched as an agency owner, I didn't start off as a scratch agent. A scratch agent is basically someone off the street. They don't have any clients in force. No matter if you're a scratch or you're an FSA, they do give you a sign-on bonus. Because of course you have overhead, you have rent, you have to hire 2 agents to start. They don't let you just go by yourself. You have to have staff in place. It's a whole process, but yes, that $1 million came with me, and they basically will pay me off those renewals going into month 1. So I didn't start with nothing.
We discussed how modest you are at the very beginning of the podcast. So, we're going to keep that modesty going. But I want you to talk about, the president's elite status.
Okay.
What is it? What are the criteria? And how long did it take you to get to this, this status?
Yes, so with President's Elite, I was basically at the branch, if you will, as an FSA for 3 years. And so in my 3rd year, because it's fiscal, right? They look at your performance for that year to rank you against other agents for that given year. And so it only took a year. I did it in year 3 because I wanted to learn the AAA culture, coming from State Farm, because we do more than just insurance. We pick your car up if it breaks down, we fix your car at our car care centers. We, of course, discount everything from movie theater tickets to Walt Disney World. Like most Americans already have AAA, so if you have the mobile app, it'll show you all the things that we do. So I wanted to be very, very comfortable with the company culture first, because I was what we call a State Farm snob. That's just what we would call it, people that work for State Farm. And they say basically you bleed red and white, the State Farm colors. And so I really wanted to become acclimated. So in year 3, I'm like, this is what I'm going to do it. And to be, again, President Elite status, you have to have perfect medallion scores. You literally have to sell 13 AAA Visa credit cards for the year. You have to sell a certain amount in life insurance premium. It's at least 5, but I always well exceeded that. And again, because it tiers you against other agents across the coast. And so that year, in order to qualify to even be considered an agency owner, I had to do it in that year. Yes.
Got it. And, just going back to that money requirement,
Yes.
For our audience, that program is great.
Yes.
But let's pretend they got the program and I still don't have another 11,000 to put with it.
Oh,
What are some other avenues that you could have looked at if you didn't have the money just sitting there?
No, that's phenomenal. Well, for one, the leadership department that basically kind of coaches you along the way, they did say that you could have money via gifts. They just want to see that if there was a gift transfer from anywhere, that it was in your account for at least 90 days. So that is an option. Also, loan companies like Best Egg. Best Egg is a great platform. You have SoFi. Best Egg I do love because, of course, a lot of them kind of do the same thing, but Best Egg seems to be very much so no nonsense. Their terms are very clear. They take a loan origination fee, and basically you can set your own terms. You can kind of borrow up to a certain amount. That's why it's very important to keep your credit good. They do check your credit and things of that nature. Because of course, insurance is a financial services industry, which parallels with my accounting degree, which is, works with financial services, if you will. And so that would have been an option for me if I didn't have the money saved. But because I knew I was going to launch my agency, I did have the additional liquidity already in the bank, just to kind of over prepare for that. But there was a time as the agency launched where I needed some extra funds for overhead, where Best Egg was the best solution for me.
Best Egg, best solution.
Yes.
It was kind of good. You've talked about a lot of great things here, and one thing that kind of is a middle ground here is something that you wish that people had told you or somebody had told you ahead of time as it relates to owning your own agency and the tax liabilities and the overhead and how all that works together. Talk to us about what you wish you had known.
Yes, that is, oh gosh, and I want to just preach this to the choir. So you have a very generic idea of what business ownership is, right? You know that you're going to be in control. You know you're going to have to make decisions. You know these things, right, from a conceptualized standpoint. But when it comes to legalities behind the ownership experience, it was very, very challenging. For one, to have a franchisee, if you will, you have to have a commercial space, which I knew. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to have commercial rent, cool. You also have to have like 3 commercial insurance policies. So if your employees fall, you have to have a workers' compensation policy. You have to have what's called an errors and omissions insurance policy, which actually was exercised. We can get into that later. Because things happen. Agents can make mistakes. It's just human error, but you need to protect yourself in the event something wasn't inputted and there was a loss, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Then on top of that, you need to have like a general liability policy for your equipment and things of that nature. On top of equipment, because I actually own my agency and book of business, because other insurance agents that own their agency, they don't own their book of business. They're basically a glorified employee of the company, kind of like State Farm agents. Like if they're standalone Geico agents, they're all kind of the same, but AAA, Allstate, and Farmers, we actually own our book. We can sell our book on the buy-sell market, and that's another thing that attracted me to AAA. But on the flip side of that, every computer, every monitor, every office chair, everything that's in the business, I had to purchase. And on top of that, well, of course, you have salaries. That's, of course, to be expected. But with the salaries, you have the payroll taxes. So they come out every 2 weeks. So you see one amount come out, but then days later, another amount comes out. And then everything that's auto-drafted for the business comes out. And it's very overwhelming. So I really just urge people to, I'm not even gonna say do your research, because you can't really research that, but just take my advice and just know if you're getting a brick and mortar that these are just the requirements. And typically, I'm not gonna say they're required by law, but the insurance aspect of it, having commercial insurance on your building, things of that nature, that is required by law. So that is the aspect of ownership that I wish I had insight of.
Absolutely. Every case is important. Every client is important, but there are some that just teach you.
Yes.
And so tell us about the pivotal moment or a pivotal moment that you've experienced here at the Burks Agency that just changed things for you and changed the trajectory of your business.
Absolutely. So I actually had a really large life insurance case that was in 2023. I launched September 2022. I wrote my own life insurance before for State Farm, but I actually was a little rusty with it. And that's due to our setup at AAA in the branches. So in the branches, mind you, I'm life licensed, but we had life insurance agents. So we were focused on the property and casualty portion of insurance, which is the auto, the home, basically the things you can touch, the tangible things, right? And so our life insurance agents, they were driven and incentivized to just push life. Again, insurance is multifaceted. So I had a life agent. His name was Gary. He was amazing. We were the best of partners. Because I was a high producer, I touched the most clients. I asked the question about, hey, do you have a permanent life insurance policy in force outside of work? Because of course, those policies at work, they're very inexpensive because it's basically a corporate benefit. But if you ever quit, you retire, whatever case it be, that policy dissolves. So I always ask that to overcome that objective. Oh, I have life insurance. It's through work. You really kind of don't have it. And so, long story short, I pushed everything like referral wise to Gary. He wrote it, so I didn't have to write it myself. Got real spoiled in that. Once I launched my agency, I had a part-time agent that was working for me. He was at the branch. He, quit, went to work in another industry, but he still had an active license. He knew that I launched, and he said, "Hey, I would like to still exercise my license." I said, "Okay, cool. Your life license, I can utilize you in that way." And so there's a client that I met through actually a referral through my sister, and very successful, very well-to-do guy. He owns several ambulances across the state, and he had a 3-year-old, and he mentioned life insurance, and he's like, hey, I want a policy that's large enough that I can pay into, and so it will accumulate funds, if you will, and I can borrow against it. And that's one thing about life insurance. There's living benefits too. People think it's just for when you are deceased. No, there's certain policies that can benefit you while you're living. Those are called living benefits. So he kind of did his homework on it. He knew what he wanted, and so he wanted a $2 million policy, which is astronomical. So I'm like, okay, cool. So Keith and I worked with him on that. The best part about this policy, though, he wanted to pay more, almost double actually, than what the premium required, because the more you pay into the policy, the faster the funds will accrue, which will enable him to make future investments. Like he did mention, I want to be able to pull $50,000 from it in 3 or 4 years to work on a housing project. So we curated the policy in that way that was going to benefit him while he was living. That particular case, it was a $2 million policy. The actual premium was around $3,000 a month, but he wanted to pay $6,700 a month. And so the proceeds off that actual policy contributed to me earning a commission of about $19,000. And that was just off one sale. So that was huge. That automatically made me the #1 life insurance in sales in the entire company. You talking north, south, east, west. And it really made me take off the blinders and not sell from my own wallet. You know, assess the needs of the client. I do a needs analysis when I speak to clients about, you know, what makes you seek life insurance? Like, what are your goals? So do you just want something for burial? Do you want something you can borrow against? Do you just want a large payout and for it to not cost that much? We have products for any and everybody, but this particular case really made me hone in and investigate each client of exactly what they desire the policy to do, and it has paid great dividends ever since.
Wow.
Yes, it's a huge case.
So you less of, hey, you need a policy, and more of, what do you need the policy to do for you?
Yes.
You know, whether it's why you live or dead.
Yes, absolutely.
So you're a consultant out here.
Oh, for sure. Yes, I'm an insurance expert / consultant. Financial consultant, technically, with this being a financial services industry.
I love to say, this is business in the black. I love to say that because, again, I get to say the name. But, and our primary audience is Black entrepreneurs.
Yes.
You know, that's the primary audience. Anybody can listen. We want you to listen. But we know Black folk.
Yes, we do.
I mean, we know Black folk.
Yes,
and somebody heard the promo for this, and they said, "Oh, I don't need no life insurance. I ain't finna hear that. They ain't finna change that. They ain't finna kill me. See, they'll kill me for this money. Nope, I'm not even finna listen to it. I ain't studying none of that. I don't want no life insurance." Somebody said that. You know, somebody said life insurance, health insurance, insurance. Oh no, they just trying to get some money now. Next thing you know, he gonna be doing a pitch trying to get me to come do him. Nope, I don't even. I'm gonna skip this week. Let's talk about those misconceptions and how you combat them and educate our community better.
Absolutely. So this is a very important topic to me. Of course, we've all experienced people who have passed away. We've also all experienced these GoFundMe funerals. And I literally, one of my peers at State Farm, we were in claims, her mom actually passed away, and she had a GoFundMe for her mother. And I was working for AAA as an FSA at the time. I was not an owner yet, but I was still licensed in life, but again, I didn't write my own life. But that really saddened me, you know, because it's so misconceptualized that you don't need it, but in reality, it costs to be buried.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it costs to live and it costs to die, and you don't have to get a policy that you can't afford. Also, people need to realize that you're most insurable today. The younger you are, the lower your premiums, and that's why it's important to get insurance when you're young. I have, you know, you can get it as a child, you can get it whenever, and it's dirt cheap. But once you're 18, you will fall off a children's policy, if you will. But by the end of the day, it's dirt cheap if you do it early enough. And on top of that, it breaks generational curses when it comes to financial well-being and legacy building. two of the fastest ways to grow wealth is through insurance and through home ownership. You sell a house, you have equity that can change the trajectory of your entire life, right? But one thing about it is we are going to pass away.
Yeah.
It's inevitable and it's going to happen. And so education is key, letting people know that one, there's living benefits based on the type of policy that you get that could safeguard your future. If you run into financial hardships, you can borrow against your policy, and all it would do is just reduce the death benefit of what you've taken out. And as you make payments back to the policy, it replenishes the death benefit. Again, I can go on and on. And again, you can get a very inexpensive policy like a final expense for an elderly family member that covers up to $10,000. With AAA, we pay up to $25,000 with no underwriting. So these are people who have health issues. These are people who wouldn't traditionally qualify for insurance. They have to be a certain age though, because they're, it's for older people, if you will. But it's a guaranteed issue, and $25,000 and the floor is $5,000. It's better than nothing. And so I really want to change the trajectory of watching my people, scrape up funds to bury their loved ones, and having to pull equity out of their house to bury
Fish
fries like that. You don't have to do that. I can even say on the property and casualty side with auto, people say, insurance is a scam, and, why do my rates go up? And we'll get into that as well. But if you think about it, how many people can afford to self-insure themselves? If you don't want to pay car insurance and you crash into someone, you're liable. They're going to sue you. They're going to be hurt. Their neck, their back, everything, plus they crack, okay? Everything's going to be hurt, and they're going to sue you. And if you are liable, you are going to lose 100% of the time. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. So, for people that say it's a scam, ask yourself that question in a city like Atlanta where there's BMWs, Mercedes, Lexus, Land Rovers on the road. If you crash into one of those vehicles and that vehicle was totaled, do you have the money to cover the vehicle at its actual cash value because it's total, plus the injuries of the passenger or passengers in that vehicle? And until I meet people that can say they can afford that, then I will continue to push the truth that insurance is not a scam. It's required, and it only benefits you.
AAA requires that you have a team.
Yes.
Now, we know that I've been talking about teams since the beginning. I mean, if you didn't watch it, go watch season 1, because, I talk about that. You can't do all this stuff by yourself. You're going to stress yourself out. But AAA want to make sure that you got a team. Now, with that team, they're helping you to build your business. How do you incentivize your agents, if you call them my superstar agents, one of my superstar agents? How do you incentivize your superstar agents to see that vision and see how it benefits them?
Oh, absolutely. So when it comes to running the business, right, what's important to me is having structure, which of course I derived from the State Farm agent I worked for. She was a tight ship, but she had a structure and it worked. So as an FSA in the corporate branches, we were required to sell 25 units a month. And what a unit is an auto, home, renter's insurance. So if there's a family of a husband, a wife, and 3 kids, and they all have a car, then that's 5 vehicles. If we also get the house, then that's 6 units, right? And so that's what I had to do to get President's Elite and to surpass the rest. So I brought that same model here to incentivize my agents to do so. So there's different tiers for if you don't hit the units per month, it basically adjusts your commission percentage. And of course, if you hit that tier, you maximize commission percentage. And if you hit it 3 months consecutively, you also bonus. So my guys get quarterly bonuses, raises, the whole 9 yards. So people are motivated by money. And literally, this is, again, it's a sales industry, but it's also a recession-proof industry. We're selling products that you need. They're required by law. And so once you drive that narrative that this is something that people need, the agents, my superstar agents, they see the dollar signs. They see if I sell, even if I sell 25 units, you can sell 25 units at very low premiums. If you have a combination of high premiums, low premiums, etc., that only increases your earnings. And so they, of course, have a set base salary because I wanted to give them that sense of stability with them coming in office every day, answering the phone, also performing service, because service isn't always just service. Service can also lead to sales. When people call, they're like, hey, why is my rate going up, whatever the case may be. If they just have an auto on file, you ask them, hey, who insured your home? Who has your renter's insurance? Bundling is what saves customers the most. When you have policies split, Geico has this, AAA has that, State Farm has this, Allstate has that, you're actually paying more. So, that's something that we also educate our clients on. But yes, having a structure that I learned from State Farm, incorporating that structure that was embedded at AAA, I brought those tactics here to place stability, but also kind of dangle dollar signs in front of our agents so that they have something to work towards.
Yeah.
And of course, they know when they hit their goal, they bonus, every quarter. That only builds momentum.
We're in Atlanta, Georgia, and rates are gonna go up. Like, your car insurance is going up. Like, it don't matter what go on, how good of a driver you are, it's going up. Even if it's $2, it's going up. So that's a really tough conversation to have with clients. And of course, Georgia as a whole, insurance as a whole, typically it's going up no matter what state you're in, for real. But we're picking on Atlanta because that's where we are. Sure. Now, again, a tough conversation to have with clients. And how do you navigate those conversations and not in turn lose those clients to your competitors?
Yes, so this is awesome. So this is where having knowledge about your industry comes into play, right? Because in a sense, when a customer calls to discuss their renewal policy going up, yes, for example.
Because I'm a call.
Oh yeah, we get these calls weekly.
And I want to speak to the CEO. Don't put me with your superstar agent. Answer the phone when I call.
And you are taken care of. Literally, we have to look at the facts of the state, right? So knowledge is power. If a client knows the why, they can understand the reality of the premium change. So due to Atlanta alone, even you people that live in Atlanta, you see the accidents, right? The accidents that stop traffic, make you late places, make you get home 2 hours past schedule. Insurance is based on the amount of premium they pay out in the state that they operate in. And so, yes, your rates are going to be lower if you're way far from Atlanta. We're talking living in Savannah or even living way out in Cumming or whatever the case is. Yes, because the amount of vehicles on the roadways in more rural areas, there's less claims in those areas. Even when it comes to homeowners insurance, and I can go on and on about all of this, homeowners rates are based on the amount of break-ins and vandalism, etc. in a given zip code. So Atlanta is very for us, by us, but there are a lot of areas where all of us live in. And due to that, if there's a lot of crime, windows getting bust out, we all know that that's just a thing in Atlanta. Don't leave anything on your seat. When your car window is broken out and it still belongs out of your vehicle, that's actually covered under a homeowner's or renter's insurance policy, because articles that you can take from the home are typically kept in the dwelling. So your auto insurance will cover the broken window, but the home or renters is going to cover the article that's stolen. So again, if you're in a high crime area, if you're in the middle of the city where crime is prevalent, you're going to pay higher rates. It just is what it is. Again, when it comes to auto insurance, if a carrier pays out more money in claims than they receive in premium for that year, they're going to what's called take rate. All carriers go to the insurance commissioner to say, hey, this is what I spent in claims in Georgia due to Atlanta, because Atlanta is a mess. They'll show them what they paid out, but they'll also show them the premium that they received. It is always an inverse relationship. So the insurance commissioner grants rate increases every year. He has never declined a rate increase. And so insurance carriers take advantage of that because they have every right to. Insurance is a pool of money. If they don't increase premiums to make sure the money's in the pot and the claims just keep doing what they're doing, then eventually they're going to be financially insolvent. And it's just the reality of it. The tougher conversations is people that don't have claims. Even with those people who don't have any claims, they have the smallest rate increases. So even though it went up, if your policy went up $8 a month, and I understand that may be a lot for some, it may be minuscule for others, I like to just break down the facts as to why. We also have the ability to shop for another carrier, which is Progressive. Progressive is now number one, I think actually nationally, but they actually are number one in Georgia as far as policies in force, and also their rates are fantastic. So I'm able to quote with both companies and keep my clients in-house, because as rates increase term after term after term, you eventually get to a point where your current premium with your carrier is no longer competitive. And so I do necessarily, if you will, encourage clients to maybe every 3 years shop, because if you shop every 6 months, it actually negatively impacts you. Because in the insurance database, insurance companies will see that you're a jumper, and if they see that you're a jumper, they're not going to retain much premium from you, so you're actually surcharged for that. It's like internal, and again, this is when it comes down to the facts. So I encourage clients to just stick around. Let's do a discount triple check. Hey, let me insure your home. Hey, let's insure you, your most valuable asset. Let me get a life insurance on you. That also discounts premium. Let's do the AAA drive program. Have you taken a defensive driving course? And keep in mind, these are people that qualify for discounts, right? The actual customers that have claims or whatever the case may be, their rates are high everywhere. Right. And because they have claims, they're going to rate higher term to term, because they've proven to insurance companies that they're high risk. And so insurance is a risk pool. We put the data in the system. The vehicle that you drive, if your vehicle's high on the theft list, you're going to pay higher insurance. If you have an expensive vehicle and it's in an area that's known for crime, you're going to pay more on insurance. If you have a very, very fast vehicle, you're going to pay higher insurance. It's a lot of different things that play into that. Even older vehicles. If you have full coverage on an older vehicle, which I don't recommend, because typically the insurance can cost more than what the vehicle's worth. It all depends on the year, make, and model. It all depends, all of that. But by the end of the day, older vehicles start to insure higher that are kept full coverage, because they lack the latest safety technology. Blind spot monitoring, collision avoidance where the vehicle stops itself. This is all actuarial data that insurance companies take into account, and it's all put into the system. So when we type everything up, your VIN number decodes, your zip code decodes, it looks at all the claims in your area, your gender, males cause more claims than females. Tickets are on your record for 3 years. At-fault accidents are on your record for 5 years. DUIs are on your record for 5 years, and a DUI will make you ineligible with AAA. I have to place you with Progressive. The story goes on and on, but again, your rate is based on your profile, including your credit. Insurance companies, like utility companies, they run a soft pool of your credit. Actuarial science, they have discovered that people with better credit tend to be more responsible people, so they're safer drivers, they file less claims. Also, married people insure lower than single people, because if you think about it statistically, if someone is single and they back their car up into their garage, right, without having dual income, they're probably going to file a claim. I'm going to pay my deductible and file a claim. Married people can consult with their significant other. Hey, let's kind of get quotes. And I always recommend get a quote first. If it's not well past your deductible, do not file the claim and it's on your record for 5 years, because now your insurance is going to be higher for 5 years. And that's where the educational piece comes into play, right? What's claim worthy? If it's a small fender bender, it may not be claim worthy. They have body shops and third parties that fix vehicles and things of that nature for a reason. So
just make sure you color match.
Absolutely, make sure it matches. yes. But there's options, you guys. But again, that's just a small piece of the puzzle. And again, I explain these things to people, and even though people may not like the answer, they understand it. And the first thing that they will say is, it is always accidents in Atlanta. And you know what? I'm always seeing the stuff and blah, blah, blah. And someone just broke into my neighbor's car the other day. It's facts. And so insurance is black and white. There's no gray.
Y'all know me. I'm looking for that gray. I'm like, now wait a doggone minute, because now, all that might be true, but I ain't do it, so my rate should have came down $2.
And keep in mind though, sometimes it's very rare that you would see a rate decrease, but actually with our partner carrier Progressive, I have seen rate decreases, because I actually now have my own personal auto with Progressive, and my rate this term actually decreased.
We talked earlier about your book of business, and building that book of business just didn't come out of thin air. You didn't just be like running up to folks or knocking on doors and all this sort of thing. So you've met attorneys, realtors, all types of people,
Mhm.
you know, through loan officers,
Mhm.
through purchase leads.
Yes.
And a lot of people will say, nope, you don't need to buy it. You know, don't purchase leads. But you know, actually have a different take on that.
Oh, for
And
sure.
so you purchase the leads. Now talk to us about maybe why, but then also how you turn those purchase leads into actual relationships to where you can now have those people to refer you to other people, as you mentioned earlier.
Oh yeah, 1000%. So one thing about insurance, you know, it's not like it's door to door. That's not even something that we would advocate, right? So the benefit of
You talking about somebody's
purchasing-
granddaddy right now. You know them folks used to go door to door. They
And
don't
back
be
in the
acting
day,
like, yeah,
back in the day
now,
they did, like,
shoot,
especially
you
like
know,
with State
had
Farm,
their
like, they did.
briefcase, okay?
They did. They would write policies in
and
person.
sit right there at
Yes,
the
they
house
would.
on the couch.
Yes, they
okay?
would. There's no lies there.
All right, now listen, man. Don't
Different
forget
time.
where you come from.
Different time.
All right, but
No,
we
you're
want to
right.
make sure because somebody granddaddy did that. You know,
And kudos, because you guys paved the way. So thank you so much.
the ancestors.
But yes, like literally, technology has changed how when we interact with people, even through social media and also, you know, business to business commerce, you name it. So one thing about leads, and the best thing about leads, is that these are people that actually have their hand up asking about an insurance. And so it's really challenging to cold call somebody to kind of solicit insurance. You're going to get the biggest bite for someone that's actively seeking insurance. And so there are lead generators or aggregators, some more popular than others, that source these people for you. And they, of course, they cost per lead. The company also reimburses me through cost shares for leads. Because I am a very high producing agent, they actually cost share me $10,000 a quarter. So I can spend up to $10,000 on specific marketing. They're very specific with the type of marketing, and I'll get cost shares of that back, right? So leads, of course, when I was an FSA in the branch, they were free. These are people that went to AAA.com and they couldn't like complete the quote. So we'll get alerts, hey, this person started a quote. And so I would get up at 4 a.m. and take the leads, because if they're free, they're fair game, right? So I would take the leads and I would go to work the next day and work them. I will bash them up, call, email, text. Like I have a whole system. I have, you know, text. I have a text template. I had an email template that was ready to go. I'm just big on processes. And so that's what built my $1 million book when I was actually at the branch. I did attend marketing events, and some of those did, you know, become fruitful. I've actually met a realtor at a marketing event that referred some business while I was at the branch. So I learned the value of in-person marketing as well. But almost that fast revenue are people that come find you. And so I took that motto into my EA program, being an agency owner, and I'm just like, I understand that now I have to pay them, but the company also sees the value in having leads, because they, of course, they get the bulk of the revenue. We get a percentage of what we sell through commission, but they get the entire premium, because of course they use the premium to save in the pot for claims. And so that was just a no-brainer. And so literally your best source of business outside of that type of marketing is referrals. Referable business is the best business, and their closure ratios are over 90%. People trust people that refer them to others that they know. And every sale that I would get, even my agents here, we will ask, you know, hey, you know, is there, if of course, did I provide excellent service for you today? They always say yes. Is there anyone else in Georgia that you can refer me to that I can give them the same level of service? And like, you can call my sister, you can call my cousin. That works. And so quite a few times, the leads that I purchased were actually people that worked not in the industry, but our industries combined. So real estate loan officers. The reason why our industries combine, as the insurance agent, we have to issue a declarations page, or basically show that the policy is going to be enforced at the date of closing before the customer buying the house gets to closing. So we, of course, get paid first. Once we submit the policy, contractually we're paid. But the loan officer that crunches the numbers, works with the bank to basically supply your mortgage figures, and the realtor who, of course, showed you house, etc., they don't get paid along with the closing attorney until you close. So they, of course, want to get the best insurance rates for their clients because it impacts your escrow account.
Right.
So because AAA, literally we have the lowest homeowners rates. That's just our model. Every carrier has their appetite. Progressive is the best for auto, but their homeowners rates are atrocious. AAA's auto rates are middle of the road, but our home is just phenomenal. State Farm, their rates are just kind of okay, but they write everything. They write $5 and $10 million house. They write Bentleys and Rolls Royces. They write things that other carriers do not want because it's just high risk. But State Farm, that they like it. They like it all. And so it's just important to build those relationships because by the end of the day, we can all benefit off of each other. So to this day, the loan officers and realtors that I've met through leads or even in-person marketing, a month, I would say they send about 3 to 5 referrals a month. And each referral, of course, is a homeowner's referral, but typically, if you own a home or want to own a home, you own a car. So we can bundle that. We also pitch the life insurance. So it's just the gift that keeps on giving. So again, they supply the resource, they supply the lead, we provide the resource, we establish the policy, they make it to close with the best closing ratios because of our great home rates, and then everybody eats at the end of that transaction.
Do you know how hard it was for me not to interrupt you? Like, I wanted to interrupt him so bad because all I kept hearing in my ear was Jay-Z, I'm a hustler, baby. I just want you to know it ain't where I've been or where I'm about to go. Da-da-da-da. And I just want to love you and be who I am. I mean, literally, because that's all I heard. Like, this is a natural born hustler right here.
And it's,
4 o'clock in the morning going through, that's my best sleep.
yeah,
Like, it really is.
I would go back to sleep. I would set a clock because I wasn't the first agent in the office. And again, I'm competing against all Georgia agents that have access to the same leads that we all do. So I'm going to get up and take them. And literally, it got to the point where my leadership at the branch was like, Tarico, you have to take a lunch. I would just work through the day. I'm like, I got 5 more calls. No, we're going to go take a lunch. We're going to go eat.
You're going to come with us.
And I'm just like, oh my God, but that hustle is what got me President's Elite, which is what got me here. And ironically, about 3 months after I launched, AAA actually ended that program.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a very expensive program. Very expensive. I was the last FSA to convert to an EA over 3 years ago. The program is done.
So you broke the doggone record.
Yeah.
You broke the mold and they said, we ain't doing this no
But when
more.
the Lord tell you to move, he will make you uncomfortable. He will let you know it's time to shift. And there was a lot of changes going on in corporate, and I kept going back to, the top down at State Farm. And I'm like, even though this has been great, I hit President's Elite right on time. It's just like,
Time to go.
why would I wait? Why would I wait another year to have to do President's Elite again to requalify? The time to live your dream is now. No better time than the present.
Tarico, we've learned so much today. We have literally been given an insurance class, a financial literacy class, a business class, all wrapped up in one. So it just shows how multifaceted this industry is and how, smart you can be or become if you are in it. So looking at that, what are your goals for the Burks Agency and what legacy do you hope to leave?
Yes, so my goal is to, one, never stop dreaming, never become complacent, never become stagnant. Again, this is an industry that I can live my wildest dreams as my wealth grows, as my book of business grows, as the renewals compound, and I'm just going to keep going. I'm not going to stop being that I actually own my book of business. I never have to retire to a degree. I'm going to retire, but I can literally have agents that are licensed that's running the show. I can, of course, oversee with the hiring and with the training and things of that nature, but I want to build generational wealth. I do have aspirations of becoming a father one day. That's not in the works as of now, but I want to leave something to someone, and to keep, my family name going, to keep this business going, because the income is always going to be there. Policies are going to continue to renew. You may not have a client forever, but as agents are continuing to produce, there's always going to be renewals. There's always going to be opportunities to multi-line, to add to the business. Of course, you're going to keep looking for the best sets of skills in your new talent to, sell all products. Like it's going to keep going. And I never want to lose sight that in this life, I can have anything that I want. And if those things are driven by financial well-being or spiritual awareness, whatever the case may be. Never stop pursuing that. And I plan to never be an employee ever again. I plan to continue to live my life autonomously, getting up when I want, coming into the office when I want, or if I don't want to, continue to be an example for my agents that want to be future agents and teaching them everything that I know, because that's the greatest gift to mankind, is to educate and to pour into for the next generation of leaders. And I just know that I'm going to continue to be blessed if I'm a blessing to others. And I'm going to continue to sharpen my craft, stay on top of industry knowledge as AI is coming into things and the corporation is working on easier quoting systems, because they're also investing in us to keep their lights on. So this is a true partnership, and this is the best seat in the house that I've ever experienced in a working relationship.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Again, thank you so much for coming and being, well, actually I came here, but whatever. Thank you so much for, allowing us into your space and, being able to learn and, share with our audience all of the different ins and outs and different ways and paths to entrepreneurship. So we just appreciate you for, like I said, your time and expertise.
Oh yeah, it's my pleasure. Again, thanks for even wanting to come to want to highlight my story. It's very reaffirming that I'm doing precisely what I'm supposed to do. I'm living my dream. I dreamt of entrepreneurship, but didn't know how I would get there. And the Lord ordered my steps. And this segment just reminds me that all is going to continue to be well.
Yeah.
And regardless of what you go through or your journey to get to where you're going, if you just believe that you can do it, you're going to get there. If I can do it, anybody can do it. I didn't have all of the money in the world to get started. I just had the passion and I learned the knowledge. And so it's very important to me to share that and just to help where I can.
Awesome. Well, Thanks once again.
Yes, thank you guys, and God bless everyone. And it was my absolute pleasure to be with all of you all today. Again, I want to thank each and every one of you all for attending this session of Business in the Black. It was my absolute pleasure to pour into you guys my story and the passion that got me to becoming an entrepreneur. And hopefully you all learn not just only about myself, but about the industry as a whole. Insurance is an industry that we all need in one asset or facet of another. And I'm of service to you. And of course, any of you all that are in Georgia, as I am state licensed, please feel free to contact my agency. My personal cell phone number is 678-637-5119. And the office phone number is 770-315-1857. Then, of course, we will leave in any segment the information to reach me directly if you weren't able to write that down. Of course, we do have a business email address as well. And of course, you can Google AAA, the Burks Agency, and directly contact me through the website there as well. Again, it was my absolute pleasure to be of service to you all. Again, I hope you all learned something. Stay passionate, stay vigilant, and just know that if you believe you can do it, the Lord will actually lead you to it. God bless you guys. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to Business in the Black. If today's conversation resonated with you, be sure to follow the podcast and share this episode with someone who's building alongside you. New episodes drop bi-weekly, so stay connected with us on social media for behind-the-scenes moments and key takeaways. Until next time, keep building with intention.